Welcome to the Breast General. This is a new segment where I explore what it takes to be a competitive wargamer and the process that it takes for me to improve at Warhammer 40k. On today's episode, I'm going to talk with my mentor, Alex McDougall, and we're going to talk about what it was like for me playing in a WTC style team tournament with Alex as my captain. So grab yourself a warm beverage and let's get into the discussion. So you've already got your golden ticket.
I do,
That's
which I forgot
exciting.
about.
What do you mean you
Not
forgot
now, but
about?
before. When I was at Cascade, the
Hmm.
event that I did win the golden ticket at,
Yeah.
I was going into round. Was it round six? No, it was after. I didn't even think about it in round six. I got out. I had won. There was three undefeated at the end of the round five. So me and another undefeated played, and then the third undefeated played into like paired down. I was like, well, if he wins, then maybe I don't win overall. And then the TO came over and he's like, after my game was done, and he's like, oh, you won, awesome, you get your golden ticket too. And I was like, oh yeah, right. That's up for grabs at this event. I had completely forgotten, which
uh,
was probably good because it meant I was like really calm in their final round. I was just like, okay, cool. If I win, I win the event. If not, not a big deal.
yeah. Do you ever get nerves going into big events?
Not a whole lot.
I was gonna
Like,
say, you always look freaking cool as a cucumber.
I think it depends on what I'm hoping for. I think probably the one I get the most nervous for is Worlds
Mhm.
because I put the most weight on it. Like I think some people might be like, well, that makes sense. It's the world championship, and that's kind of the way I see it as well. But it's the one where I want to. That's an event where I'm like, oh, I want to prove myself here. Like LVO, I think is too random to be like proving yourself because I've had events where I've gone like to the shadow round and looked at the previous six games and been like, man, I got a really easy path to get here. I don't feel like I earned this. Meanwhile, people are grabbing like round. Like I remember one of the years that I made. It was either the year that I made Shadow Round or a year that I made semifinals. Innes and Brad Chester played in like round two, and
Ooh.
I was like, yeah, that could have been me. Like
Hmm.
that's what can happen at LVO. So I don't usually get too nervous at LVO because I'm just like, whatever, it's all gambling. And then smaller events or even like up to majors, I might get nervous early where I'm like, I really don't want to fumble the bag in like day one. But
Yeah.
if I'm undefeated into day two, all the nerves go away. I'm just like, yay, I did it. I'll do whatever happens, happens now.
Yeah. I really look forward to the day where I could reach that level of mastery where I can just be like, cool as a cucumber. I'm not there yet. I do feel like at our team tournament that we went to, I do feel like that's probably like the calmest that I've ever been at an event. And I don't know if it's just because like the homies were around me or what was going on, but oh, I mean, I have been doing a lot of work on myself, sort of like behind the scenes for the past about a year. I don't think that I realized how miserable I was being like so overweight with arthritis and just being in pain all the time. Like I knew that I wasn't well, but I didn't know how unwell I was until, now I'm almost 75 pounds down and my knees feel so much better and
Yeah.
I'm able to do my sport again a little bit. I still seem to think that I'm 250 pounds and I took a really big hit from a dude at practice. So I'm nursing an injury at the moment, but it should
Yeah.
heal up no problem. So I've been like sort of working on all of this stuff kind of like behind the scenes, and I feel like maybe that's also helping me to relax at the table.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what changed, but this event, this last one, really felt like it changed.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that can go into that from like a general, almost like psychology thing. Like one, you're right. If your knees were always hurting, like chronic pain is awful. I've been in chronic pain. I've had chronic back pain when I was younger from work. Yeah, it just you don't even think about it because you're like, well, this is my current state of existence and has
Yeah.
been for years. And then once that pain goes away, you're like, man, I think I was kind of like not miserable, but like I was just kind of like grumpy because of course you're grumpy. You're in pain. You're actively in pain. You
Yeah.
don't feel like you're feeling good. You can't just like stand up and be like, yeah, this is good. I'd have to like, ooh, gotta be careful about my back, see what happens. And I think all those things can come into it. I think also if you are having success in other areas, then you don't need to succeed here.
For
Like,
sure. Yeah. I
yeah,
would agree. I
not
would agree with that for sure. Going back to roller derby and being like a freaking god on wheels, which is new, right, for me because it was in my head back then when I was playing roller derby too. It's like, "Oh, I'm not that good, blah blah blah." The day that I walked back and I sat in my old seat in the locker room, there's a bunch of new skaters. Some of them have transferred from other teams and stuff, and our new coach was like, "Oh, sorry, like any good?" And I was like, "No." And then Moon, who is like one of my derby wives, was like, don't fucking listen to her. Like, she's really good. She knows what she's doing. But then, like, I came back and I was like, well, maybe I do know what I'm doing. I've just been absolutely crushing it, except when I do stupid shit like put myself in front of a 300-pound man skating at
Yeah,
speed,
that would also
Like,
happen to me too.
yeah. Yeah, so I do think that it's, and also like proving to myself that I could lose all of this weight as well, I think is like
Mhm.
putting it in my head that like if I set my mind to it, I can actually achieve my goals. And yeah, so confidence at the table I think is it's really close for me. But let's talk about this team tournament a little bit. So
Yeah.
you were playing with my team, which is also
Mhm.
your team, one of your
Yeah.
teams. On our team, it was you and me, it was Graham, it was Dave, and it was Chris. Like we didn't choose our factions as a team. Like I know that
No. No.
some of the other teams there really probably did that, you know. So like, what was the goal and what was the plan, kind of going into this?
I mean, I was hoping for like 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw,
Hmm.
which I thought was pretty reasonable. Because I mean, I looked at the competition. This like, it's always weird for me when it's a local event, and I'm like, oh, I know like 60% of the people here.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times you'll go to an event, and especially with teams, it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about pairings? And you're like, I just have to go purely based on matchups because I don't know any of these people. Maybe some of them are not that strong. Maybe some of them are like, the what is that called? There's a specific term for it. It's like, the local secret where they're like they don't travel, they don't go anywhere, but they're really good.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe you just run into that. But
Hmm.
here I was like, oh, I can play the pairings not just in matchups, but also like against people. Like I know who their stronger or better players are. We can like dodge around that.
Hmm.
So that was kind of a fun little mini game. Well, we lost to first place in round one.
We did.
So
Speaking of rolling the dice on matchups.
yeah, so we got like the hardest one out of the way.
Hmm.
And I think the good thing about that for me as like, I guess, captain, like pairings captain, was it did give me an idea of how we should pair for the rest of the rounds, which was kind of good in a sense of like, well, we're probably going to lose this matchup. Like I've played all four of the 5 guys individually.
Hmm.
I know that team is very good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. We're going to pair. I paired the first round as if it was like 2 equally skilled teams. And I was
Okay.
like, this isn't going to work in the future. I'm going to pair players and players instead of like specific matchups. I got to learn a little bit on that, which was good overall, but it still went all right. I think our pairings went pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I had a good time. My personal goal for this was to just like I knew that going into it I was probably like the weaker player on the team, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to probably just oh, also my list was trash because I'm not going to stress paint anymore. I just refuse to do it because
Yeah.
I would rather get my reps in at this point than be stress painting all the time
Mhm.
because that comes out of my practice time, right? And so I knew that I was probably going to have to eat some bad matchups for the team, so I was like, "Oh, that kind of like took some pressure off me too because I was like, "Oh, as long as I like try my best and I get some points, it's going to like allow the rest of the team to get layups." Right?
Yeah, and that is what I learned from round one to do in later rounds for us. And that's actually true. I think there's a couple times where you or Chris got like pretty mediocre matchups specifically to get me and Dave good matchups.
Mhm.
Um, because my my design philosophy after round one was okay, me and Dave go get 40 points, and the rest of the team gets the collective 15 to get us to a draw.
Yeah.
And I know that put you and Chris into some like really bad situations, but it was from like again, so after we lost the first one, I was like, I'm gonna pair everything as if it was a draw, and if we overperform, we'll win. Great.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you and Chris got a whole bunch of bad matchups, or not even like bad, but just like I don't know how this matchup is gonna go, but I need you or Chris to take this away because if me and Dave get it, it will also just be like a small win, and that won't get us the round.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of sacrificing of Chris. So like, go Knights, go get
um
something.
So because I don't have that sort of knowledge base, what do you think were like the worst matchups for me?
That's a good question. I do actually have the event up because I knew we were going to talk about this.
Yeah.
So round one. All right, I don't have to be like super on point here. This is getting edited. So yeah, I knew that you playing into the Leagues of O10 in the first one was like iffy. but I
Mhm.
knew you could also get a couple points out of it, which you did because Leagues of O10 is not a matchup that's going to like run down your throat.
Well,
They'll shoot you. They'll shoot you to death, but like they're not necessarily like on your back line on turn two kind of thing. Um,
no.
I mean, I know his was like relatively aggressive, but it
Yes.
wasn't
It wasn't
like
the
some
entire
lists could
army,
be.
right? It was sort of trickling in units.
And then after that, I got you into the Death Guard, which is funny because so this is another one of the ones where like I didn't give you a bad matchup, but I dragged that matchup away from me.
Okay.
My list is a lot of combat, a lot of like high AP, and the entire Death Guard list was like just durability. They have the aura of -1 to hit, which my army doesn't have rerolls. It just has good hitting.
Mhm.
So -1 to hit is really bad for me. They've got invulnerable saves everywhere, so all of my super high AP doesn't do well. So you got that to keep it away from me so I could go get a slam dunk on somebody else,
Mhm.
which is essentially what happened.
Yeah.
And then I think the next round is where I was like, you got fed to the wolves.
Let's talk about that Death Guard list though. Did you look at the list and then look at my list and be like, "Oh, Tanya's gonna make that list feel real slow"? Is there was
That was part of it for sure.
Yeah, because there was two big Terminator bricks, and I have basilisks, which slow down infantry. So each round,
Yeah.
I'm just like hit, hit. Now you're basically moving 2 inches.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely part of it. But I also just think that in a general, the general state of how that matchup goes with Death Guard and Normal Guard is that you probably should outshoot them.
Hmm.
And outside of a couple units that are going to move forward, which again, you were able to like slow to a crawl, there's not a whole lot of pressure going in either direction.
Hmm.
You're going to play mostly from your side of the board, and so are they. And that should, a worst case scenario, I guess, is that you were going to get a 10-10,
Hmm.
was what my thought was. But even if I play into that, I get like an 11
Yeah.
because they just jam a bunch of like tanks in my way and give me a -1 to hit. And then my guys just will never kill their tanks.
Yeah.
So it also grinds out to a super low one.
Hmm.
Round four is where I was like, well, this is a bummer. Here, go fight a million Imperial Knights because the Imperial Knights list is bad for me and Dave. So
Yeah.
you had to eat that to give us the windmill slam
Yeah.
in other parts.
I was just like, please, I just want to go first so I can like run out and create like roadblocks. I just want to go first so I don't need to win it. I just want to get some points. And then of course I rolled to go second. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Do you
that
think
big
that
knight
was
was right there, like
yeah?
immediately.
Do you think that some of the pressure off of you was that you didn't have to win games?
Maybe.
Yeah, because like that's one of the things that I have felt as like a lesser pressure in teams is when the expectation from the coach is like, well, you don't have to win. You just have to not lose bad. And I'm like, I could do that. I could do that all day. Are you kidding me? Like,
Uh,
because then the goal of like, oh, the game's going poorly, but we knew it was going to go poorly, but it's not going as bad as it could is like still kind of a win, even though you're like, yeah, no, I lost. And in singles, you're like, well, that's the end of the road. But in teams, you're like, oh, I was supposed to get a 6 and I got a 7.
mhm.
Yay.
So what went on in the last round though? Because like I played my game, and then at the end of the game, I'm packing up, and I'm looking at you, and you're talking to Kaz, sort of kitty corner to me, and like you're both are like looking at me. So I was like, is there something about this particular matchup that I don't know about in round 5?
No, we were talking about the fact that based on your score, I think we were going to win the round rather than draw the round.
Okay.
But I wanted to do it from a distance because I didn't want to be like, hey, you really need to like clutch up those last 2 points because that'll put the pressure on where you're like, oh, what if I like have a panic moment? But
Hmm.
I think at the moment I was talking to Kaz, I was probably just pretty proud about the pairing in general
Hmm.
because, like I said, Liam is a very good player. But again, I was like, that was me being proud of like matchup knowledge. Where
Hmm.
again, I'm like, he doesn't have the kill power to like run your army over. You'll always still have some stuff at the end of the game to keep scoring points, and that's all we needed was just a couple points.
Yeah.
And if you got the 4, we needed 3 out of your team's matrix to win, so you got 1 extra. I was just looking at the game state, and I'm like, no, you're absolutely going to grind a couple points out of this.
Yeah. Necrons are historically like a really annoying matchup for me just because I don't have enough volume in my particular list to like eat through all those invulnerable saves. So I was like, okay, like this must be a bad matchup for me because Like must be allowing you guys to get better matchups because like looking at my list, I was like, I just don't have
Yeah,
the volume.
that is also a 10-10 for me and Dave because we
Okay.
also just. I mean, that's the point of his list, though. Like that is his list. It's for the listeners, of course. It's like 2 Doomsday Arcs. It's the 2 impossible to kill characters in Awakened Dynasty. The ones with the 4+ Invulnerable, 4+ Feel No Pain that just live forever and can get back up. It's the full Wraith Brick with a character and the 2 little bastards that run around with them that can like shimmy around wounding and stuff. It's Awakened Dynasty, so you can like double regen. Like that is just a tar pit. And same thing, I figured you'll get points out of it, and you'll probably get less than me and Dave would get, but not by much. Like that's a 9 to 11 for me. It's probably a 9 to 11 for Dave. So like you getting 4 or 5 or 6 out of it is like great. That's barely a differential, as opposed to you taking that and I get Marines, which was a 20-0, because I'm like, that is literally, I think that might be the worst matchup in the game for Marines. It was ugly, and I knew it was coming. And he was like his coach came over to him and said, "Hey, we're looking for points, plural. Two is more than one."
Yeah, and you
So,
guys were done early too, because you were playing right next
oh
to
yeah,
me, and I was like, oh boy, that went very badly for somebody.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
and that was the point. That was like,
yeah.
get me a big win, get Dave a big win, and then get some points out of the rest. And then Graham played his game really well, got a whole bunch of points that gave us the win rather than the draw, because
Mhm.
it was looking like a draw, and that's what I had expected. And I still would have been pretty dang happy with that too, because again, I was expecting 2 wins, a draw, 2 losses. So 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss is a little bit better than what I had hoped for. And
Yeah.
then 3 1 and 1, which is what we ended up with, was like, oh dang, that's really good. And then we got third place overall with that.
I think that's the first time that I've ever podiumed.
Mm.
Does your back hurt?
I felt like okay, so at the end of that event, I kind of felt bad for you and Chris because again, I was like, the plan worked.
Yeah,
Clearly, we did well. We
yeah.
got a bunch of wins, but it absolutely was at the sacrifice of you and Chris taking bad matchups. And
Hmm.
I was just like, I hope you guys are still having fun
Hmm.
because I was like, here's an absolutely horrible matchup that you're going to lose. Go lose another game for us. I've been in that situation before and been the person just getting fed to the wolves every single round.
Hmm.
And sometimes you win those games, but like every game is so hard where you're like, I did it, boss. I got a 9. Woo, I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah, I did have a good time. I had
Good.
one kind of strange interaction in round 3, which normally would like throw the game for me, and then I would be like, done. Like this event is ruined for me now. But I decided to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt and just sort of like express that we were having an issue. It made the next round a little awkward, but I think that he came around and kind of like understood what I was saying at the end, and it felt really good for me to actually like stick up for myself because I feel like in events of the past I wouldn't have done that. I would have just
Mhm.
like shut my mouth, played the game, been grumpy, and then that would have been it. But I was a little bit grumpy. I stated my case. I think Buddy ended up seeing it my way, and it ended up not being too bad of a game.
I think all you can do in those situations is just have the conversation because
Hmm.
sometimes I mean, just like in any interaction out even away from the game table, you can have that like you have said something that has bothered me, but you might not actually know that it has. So
Hmm.
the other person is continuing on having no idea that they have potentially bothered the other person. And then even that can be like, it can get worse. You're like, hey, you said something that I didn't like, and you don't seem to be caring at all.
Yeah.
But like as soon as you have the ability to just state your case, and I think a lot of times, as long as you're not playing against somebody who is like actually a jerk, I think if you
No.
have the ability to state your case and say like, "Hey, this kind of doesn't sit well with me," they'll probably be like, "Oh, I didn't mean it that way," and then
Yeah.
okay, we get to a resolution super quickly. But yeah, if you bottle it up and you don't tell anyone, this is like any relationship. No matter how serious, you're like, if you just sit on your feelings, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna get real bad.
Yeah, and I did preface it by saying like this is my lived experience, which is much different from your lived experience, which is why it
Mhm.
feels bad for me, right?
Yeah.
And giving this person the benefit of the doubt because I don't feel like he was a bad person, but at the same
Yeah.
time,
It's bringing up your state without being accusatory.
yes.
Because then they'll immediately get defensive.
Right. And
And
I
then
and I also understand that I've got and I am working through like a lot of issues, right? Like I have come up across a lot of misogyny online.
no.
I know. How dare I exist as a woman on the internet who
That's
plays
right.
Warhammer? And, like, I've got a lot of baggage with that, but I've not ever come across it in person. And so, like,
Right.
for me, it's like, I gotta always tell myself that the people that I'm actually meeting at these events are, like, generally very well
Yeah.
balanced individuals who are just looking to have fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The anonymity of the internet is
Ugh.
something else. It's crazy to see certain things. Again, not that it bothered me, but a thing that I still remember on my very first time on Play On was somebody like made a comment about my hair,
Oh,
and I
it's
was
back when
like,
you had hair.
no, 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 no. I had already shaved,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was a little fuzzier than normal. But like that's how it goes. Like when you're a bald man, I don't shave every day. I shave every 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, I'm a little bit fuzzy. And yeah, somebody was like, "Man, this guy's got to cut his hair," and I was like, "What do you care? Like, what does it matter? Just watch the battle report. What is wrong with you?" And
Yeah.
again, it really does not bug me, but it's one that just made me laugh because I was like, "That's what you noticed."
Oh yeah, I think like my favorite comment was also early on, and it was like, why do orc players always look like orc players?
God damn.
I know, I know, and I was like, ooh, ouch, okay, wow,
No,
that's
basically just
great.
called you a Neanderthal. Thanks, bud.
Yeah. But yeah, I've had like lots of comments like that over the years. And I think that really it is good practice to like toughen up your skin a little bit and just like let it sort of roll off your back, because at first those comments did really hurt. And
Oh, for sure.
now I'm
It's
able
weird
to
to have to
just,
hear it.
I know, and now
Yeah.
I'm able to just like let it go, because like
I
these
would
these
anytime I see a commented like that, I'm like, okay, so you're like either 16 or in a devastatingly hopeless marriage, whatever. Like,
or you live in your mom's basement, like
I try to stay away from that one because it is too cliche. I'm like, but I can think of worse. Like, yeah, you're in a loveless marriage. Like, got it.
oh,
You probably speak like
zing.
this to your wife too. Like,
Oh boy. If you
her and the kids take separate vacations.
Oh my god, savage. Yeah, you know what? If they're going to leave comments like that, I feel like they open themselves up to it,
Oh, 100%.
honestly. So I thought maybe we could transition into something maybe a little bit more wholesome, and
Yeah.
we could talk about my list a little bit, the list that I played at the event,
Mm-hmm.
because it was not great.
I remember you said specifically
Mhm.
that the issue you were finding is that it didn't have the damage you were looking for. You kept finding like, oh, I'm bottled in and I can't dig my way out because there's no damage.
Right.
Um,
So I found that I missed having more options for strength higher than 10, right? Like
right.
the majority of my shooting, well, I mean, and the things that I'm going into
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
require strength 12, right? Because there was
Yeah. As a Tyranid player, I can get you on that one. There's
right.
a lot of strength 9 and strength 10 in combat and shooting, and I was just like, but every tank is like strength or T10 or 11. This really feels bad.
Yeah, and then the majority of my like damage dealing weapons were only -1 AP, with no way to get around. Like there was no ignores cover on them and
Yeah.
stuff. So it was really difficult to get the damage actually through. So my
Yeah.
list was a Rogel Dorn, but it was kitted out to more do a mix of anti-infantry and anti-armor. And then I had 2 battle cannon Lehman Russes. I had 2 basilisks to slow down infantry. I had a chimera with 10 shock troops in it. I had like the shock troops with the command squad blob with Ursula Creed that I could attach to it to like bump out orders 24 inches. A big Scions blob with the command squad. And then a big unit of Bulgrins, which I love. I really, really missed playing with Bulgrins. I just like having something that's a little bit tougher, I
Tanky.
guess. Yeah, like there's
Yeah.
just having the -1 damage and then the feel no pain on them. It's just something that doesn't exist in my army
Yeah.
anywhere else.
I do something very similar in my list. Like my list is a lot of damage, a lot of movement, and not much durability. And I have the one unit of aberrants in the army, which is essentially the same thing. They're not quite as tough as the Bulgarian, but it is a lot of just like, yeah, I run the aberrants in, they get their kill on something, and then they just go and grab a bunch of stuff, and then it's
Hmm.
like just tough enough to hold on for a turn or two of combat or force my opponent to leave combat.
Hmm.
And the Bulgarian are the same thing, just like charge in, kill something, go grab a bunch of stuff, and just harp hit it for a while and give the rest of your army time to like move and get points and do damage.
I think the majority of the list is pretty good for me, but it definitely need to come up with a little bit more strength 12 or higher. And
Yeah,
I really feel like I need a hellhound.
the Hellhounds are nice. They do definitely have like a specific role and can do weird stuff to certain armies. They're also really nice into the current like Eldar issue because you just jam them out, kill the target, and then wedge them between two units, and you're like, only one of these units is allowed to not get Overwatch.
Hmm.
Because yeah, Hellhound will pick up Eldar real easily. I think the Basilisk, the second Basilisk, has to go.
Yeah.
Because obviously its damage is very poor, and outside of teams, I don't think you would need a tech piece of like, oh, I can slow two units. Like
Yeah.
most of the time, I think you only need to slow the one, or just have the one that's like you shot at something, they pulled their casualties, and there's one dickhead behind a wall, and you're like, okay, Basilisk, go get him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, the basilisk really does not kill anything. It is
no,
really
it's
only there to slow things.
yeah, it'll kill a dude though most of the time. I know every once in a while it'll let you down, but you know what I mean. I think one of the Basilisk, or wait, sorry, one of the Lehman Russes goes from a battle cannon to a demolisher. I think that's a
Hmm.
really obvious change.
I
And
also
then
missed having the orders flexibility of Lord Solar.
yeah, that's fair. How many points is he now? Like
He's
140?
he's really expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's really good.
He's really good. So here's the thing. I also kind of like that he can deal with like small infantry that deep strike into the back line. Like you put like a assassin or something back there.
Yeah, just go
He
be a little firefighter.
Yeah, like he can deal with that, right? So at the moment Lord Solar is 150 points.
150. Yeah, I don't know if he fits well right now. You'd have to find some other ways to get him in. I don't know what he replaces. Maybe you pull Ursula.
Yeah,
That's part of his points,
I
but
think you pull Ursula. I think that you pull the heavy weapon squad with the mortars in it. It's really good for zoning out, but like it's just not doing anything for me. Maybe I'm not using it right. I don't know, but yeah, it just that squad for me is not doing
well,
anything.
the mortar team is also like very specific on matchup dependent.
Hmm.
Like if you're in the Marines, you're like, all right, I did one wound to a Marine. Awesome. And then again, you play into like Eldar or maybe even like Gene Stealer Cult, and you're like, oh dang, that was really good. If you're hunting for damage, the mortar team really isn't it. I think part of what the you could do is definitely do a second Rogel Dorn, but that's gonna start drastically altering what this list looks like. You're not
Um,
fitting that Hellhound in. You're probably dropping one of your Lehman Rusts altogether.
so
Um,
you know how most women their partners will like get them flowers.
yeah, you have the dealer.
I know Ryan came home with this the other day, and I was like, "What's this for?" And he's like, "Because it's Tuesday." And
There you go.
because I love you. And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So I do have a second one. The hobby leg on this is going to be quite long.
That's fair. Those are a big tank.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could even go to like a more focused Rogaldorn that you would have right now, because you, like you said, you kitted it out to kind of be like a generalist.
Hmm.
And if you're finding that you have damage into infantry, like if you have enough already, you could probably swap out to like multi meltas and make it more
Yeah.
of a tank hunter,
Well, that's
and
what
that might give you a little bit.
yeah, that's what I want to do with this one. I want to make this one
Yeah.
the tank hunter for sure. I really like how my current Rogaldorn is kitted out, but if I add a Hellhound, I'm not going to need all of those heavy stubber shots.
Exactly, yeah, or the heavy bolters and stuff. Like there is it's weird when you're list building and you're thinking about like what does this do? And then you're like, oh, it has a blind spot of this. And like, okay, but is that blind spot being covered for by something else in the army? You're like, okay, so I don't need it. I can have this unit be hyper focused on this as long as its weakness is getting covered by something else. So sometimes you have a tank like that where you're like, it can kind of do everything. You're like, yeah, but this does the tank punching better, and this does the anti-infantry better. Maybe I just specialize into those two things, and then I don't need to have an all-rounder. I can like specialize that into something. Like I have that with my Gene Stealers. The final day list that I have is like dedicated anti-tank and infantry killing. And there's like no in between
Oh
at
boy.
all. Sometimes that does bite me. Like if somebody goes, that was one of the things that I was thinking about in pairings as well. If our opponent had a whole bunch of light armor, my army's ability to deal with it drops off
Mhm.
because I'm paying a premium for like really good elite anti-tank
Yep.
because I basically my army strength goes from strength 12, just a million las cannons, down to strength 4. And again, not anywhere in between. So
Mhm.
if you have a bunch of like premium costed strength or T10 and T11 tanks, great. I am excellent at killing that. Even T12 is like it's not that bad. If you have a whole bunch of like light to medium infantry, I'm great at killing that. As soon as you're like, I have like 7 vehicles that are all T10 or T9, and I'm not paying much for them, I am really going to struggle to kill that. Great, the las cannons obliterated that rhino. They would have obliterated your Vindicator as well, which you paid 2.5 times as many points for.
Yeah.
So with your army, yeah, you can get into weird situations where like you pick a tank that isn't super good at any one thing, or one specializes and you have this weird blind spot in the middle. But I think if you have like specialized Rogel Dorn, Demolisher Lehman Russ, and a couple other things, you'll kind of fit all the like lanes that you need to deal with. And yeah, yours was very generalist for a teams, but I think we went so general that you are struggling to then like if a certain matchup was given to you, you're like, ooh, can't kill that fast enough.
Yeah, can't kill that big knight fast enough. Ooh, it's in my lines. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it turn one. Yeah. I do have a list because I am going to an event tomorrow. So I do have a list for that. And I thought maybe we could go through it and make changes because it's just an RTT. So they're allowing us to submit tomorrow morning. So, and I do have like some pretty expensive stuff in here, but I do feel like I have enough tools as well.
Expensive isn't bad. If the expensive thing gets all the things that you need done out of it, then that's not a bad thing. I have a couple of units that are crazy expensive too, but they kill the hell out of what I want them to, so that's fine.
Okay, so let's go through it. I've got Gaunt's Ghosts because
Mhm.
I will always bring them. They're just so useful in multiple different ways. Sometimes it's really good to sit them on an objective, and the lone op means that you can't shoot them off. You got to come and get them. Sometimes it's just really good to go score points with them. So, or you
Yeah.
can use them to zone out your back line. Like they're just, I really like Gaunt's Ghosts. I know they're expensive, but for me, I think they're worth it.
I think there's also something to be said for the fact that since they can up and down the entire game, it usually demands that your opponent holds on to a unit to like keep them back.
Hmm.
So like even if they don't get a ton done for you, like let's say that the opponent's screening unit was 75 points
Hmm.
and you held it hostage the entire game because they couldn't move it. Okay, well then how much did Gaunt's Ghost really cost you? Was it
Hmm.
only the points differential of what happened? Like if you had a scout unit sitting on the back line that never moved and the Gaunt's Ghost kept hopping around and getting points, you're like, it's my 110 to your 75, but mine did something and yours did nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I do have Lord Solar in this list. I have my Cadian Command Squad. I have the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad and the Rogaldorn Commander. Now, for this event, I don't think that it has to be WYSIWYG. I think that they're kind of generally kind of open. So do you think that I should try the other loadout on this Rogaldorn Commander?
Yeah, if they let you do it, I would try the like multi-melta loadout and go for that because I think it might solve a few problems. Because I know they're strength 9, but like so many times you get one through and you're like, whoops, 8 damage.
And like the Rogaldorn is one of the tougher units in my army, so it is quite often going out and it's getting close, so might be
Yeah.
able to get the actual extra melted damage as well. Okay, into battle line, I've got 2 units of Cadian shock troops. I have my big blob of 6 Bulgren. I've got my Ratlings, my 5-man
Yep.
squad of Ratlings, which God, I love those boys. I got my 10 Tempestus Scions with 2 Melta Guns and 2 Plasma Guns and a Plasma Pistol. And then I have 1 Basilisk. I
Yep.
have 1 Lehman Russ Battle Tank. I have 1 Lehman Russ Demolisher. I have 1 Scout Sentinel and 1 Chimera with 2 Flamers.
Yeah. So that's pretty dang similar to what you had.
It's really
You've got the
similar.
Demolisher instead, and you fit in Solar, which is going to up the efficiency on your tanks, which will also help. Yeah, no, I think I would definitely start with that and see when you're going to an RTT like this and you've made like I would say these are fairly simple, subtle changes. This
Mhm.
isn't like, oh, we reworked the list. Pay attention to the output of the Demolisher and the Dorn. Like some games, okay, fine, they got hit with like crazy anti-tank right away and you lost him. Okay, we're not going to focus on that. But like, just pay attention to what they get done in the game. Even if that's just a like, Demolisher killed a tank like really early. Like that, the regular battle tank would not have done that. And you can see like, okay, I needed to deal with that tank. I suddenly had the tools that I needed to deal with it, and I wouldn't have had that before. Okay, then we probably leave that in because when I make changes to my lists, it's usually only 200 or 300 points, and I'm really focused on what those 200 and 300 points are doing for me.
So I'm gonna play that list tomorrow. It's only a 3-rounder. I'm not gonna have any of my buddies there though. Like there'll be people that I know, but it'll be interesting to see if I feel any different at this event being alone, or if the comfort was really from.
The team.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the comfort was also the several tequila shots that I did before the first round.
I mean, I think you know what to do tomorrow then.
Gotta head out to the liquor store tonight. I'll be right back. I'm just proud of us. We polished off that entire bottle of tequila. Good. We did really good. We had a little help from my friend Mark, who was on the Blood Bath and Beyond team. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm gonna vlog it as well. So, well, I'm gonna try my best. Well, I'm gonna try my best because I always say I'm gonna vlog it, and then I just never do. So.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of times I've said at a tournament that I'm like, I'm gonna write some notes about the game, and then yeah, I get like halfway through turn 2 of round 1, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, so I figure because it's a vlog, you can just like talk to the actual camera to make notes and then like review them later. So that's my plan, is to just have fun, try out the few changes to the list and see how I do. I feel like this is going to be a little bit tougher than the last RTT that I went to, because I went to the one in February where they allowed legends. I came in 4th at that one, but I mean, the meta for that one was pretty soft. So this one, everybody is getting ready for that GT in May. So I feel like the lists are going to be a little bit tougher. What do you think that my goals should be for tomorrow?
I would say probably play in a way that if you do have losses, to keep them close. Like, I think it's a big difference of like, I got blown out and like, I was in it the whole time and then it like slipped away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with an RTT, I assume I'm going to know most of the people there. It also might depend on who you play.
Yeah, at every single one of these RTTs, I end up playing Colin. So I'm sure I'm going to end up playing Colin at some point.
Yep.
But I think that you know everybody except a couple.
Because like, also it depends, very much on how you play. Like sometimes you're like, oh, you got the person who usually wins. Like at the RTT, like, well, a loss to that is different than maybe somebody who isn't as strong of a player. I would say if you can, I was about to say get a win on day 1. You won't have an option if you have a win. I guess the main thing is, again, it will be somewhat out of your control because of such a small pool of players, but like a round 1 win, because that means your losses will be to the stronger players. But yeah, 1 win, 2 losses, 2 wins, 1 loss.
I don't think that you've seen my win percentages lately, sir.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'll be happy if I get 1 win going into this one. I don't know if a round 1 win is possible, but we'll see.
I guess it also depends on missions as well. Maybe we should set like a points goal, like for what you can get off of those missions. Maybe let's do like in all 3 games, let's try to have 55 points.
Okay.
Like even on a loss, if your opponent only hit like 75, then you're like, okay, well that was pretty close. In teams that's a 13-7. Like that means you got 7 points out of your loss. So let's maybe look at it that way.
Okay. Something I have been trying to do is working on scoring more on the primary. It's always been like my Achilles heel. So aiming for like 30 on the primary has been still difficult for me, but like something that I can kind of attempt to do. I usually do okay on the secondaries.
Yeah, you got lots of deep strike and up and down and ability to do that, and enough trash to like throw stuff to the corners to do objectives. Yeah, I mean, the primary might also be helped out a little bit by you having a Demolisher, because you're going to have a tough unit that you do want to jam forward. Like a lot of times with the battle tank, you're like, well, I've got 72-inch range. Maybe I'll kind of hunt from the backfield. But the Demolisher is going to force you to be like, 24 inches away. Like, let's get on this objective right away. Between that and the Bulgrin and the Dorn, you probably are going to have a decent amount of central board presence. So
Yeah, another thing that I did notice is that I was always sort of one turn behind where I needed to be for the end game. So I
Right.
need to make sure that I'm pushing out probably in round two a little bit more than I am now.
Yeah, because like there, as much as there's variance in a lot of the game, like how's your shooting phase, how's your charges, did you hit all your charges, like what did you pull on cards, there's a lot of times where you can take variance out of it. Since they made it so like assault weapons don't give you advance and perform an action, you know exactly how far away you have to be from something to perform an action.
Right.
Like if you have a position and you measure and you're like, let's say it's an empty chimera. You're like, well, I know what he's doing. He's going to go do something. So many times I've watched players like just kind of like push, like they push their transport forward or they jump all their units out and then they just kind of sit there with the transport and the next turn they pull like, oh, I got containment and I got area denial. And then they measure to their transport that's empty, that they're like, well, this thing's useless. And they're like, oh, I don't quite hit area denial and I don't quite hit containment. There's no variance to that. There's no like, oh, but if I run, I can get there. And no, you have to have been mathematically like, and you it's a tank that moves 12. If on turn one you could have pushed it to behind a building and then measured like, oh, I do that all the time with lictors. I'm like, they move 8. I am 16 and a half inches away from the board edge. So that means 8 and 9. I'll be wholly within 9 to do containment. He's also 13 and a half inches away from the center. So he could jump in and do established locus. Like I know exactly where that guy is to go in all sorts of different directions. Almost regardless of what I pull, I know what he's able to do. Again, there's no variance to that. There's just, are you within range? That's the only option. Be within range. And then, yeah, you get a turn behind where you're like, I didn't complete either of those objectives. And then you're like, well, do I sit on them? Do I throw one away? I'll throw one away. Like, I can't do that one. Like, okay, well, now we're 3 cards behind what we could have been. Yeah, so stuff like that is really good. And that's all that, like, ooh, thinking about next turn, but done in a non dice controlled way, which is nice sometimes.
Yeah. And this stuff here is the reason why I decided I want to prioritize getting reps in more than making sure that I had a meta list. Because I think that just
Yeah.
playing more games, I'm starting to be able to remember, okay, like I haven't pulled this yet. I have to have a plan for it, and I'm starting to see these opportunities. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the event tomorrow. Goals are try to score 30 primary in each game and push out a little bit farther in round two. Obviously, don't overextend, but push out a little bit farther. Pay attention to what my tanks are actually putting out in terms of damage. Am
Yeah.
I killing the things that I need to kill, essentially?
Yeah. I think with measurements for things like getting into position, I think it's really common that people don't understand that that might be the difference between an inch rather than like, oh, the difference is like 10 inches. Either I'm like way at the back or way at the front. But the difference between like just being safe behind a wall, but giving your opponent like a 9-inch charge as opposed to an 8-inch charge can be like the difference of the game entirely. Like if you're just looking at basic numbers, like an 8 rerollable is pretty good to make a charge. A
Mm-hmm.
9 rerollable is a little stinky still. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times players won't take that risk if it means they're out in the open. So that's literally the difference of an inch. That's all that was. Or even like a quarter of an inch, right? Like 8.75, 9.1 away from your opponent. If you give them the 9, they're like, I'm not going to risk it. And if you give them the 8, they're like, yeah, maybe. And if they nail it, you're like, oh, this game just got way worse.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not necessarily this like I was 5 inches forward or 6 inches forward or 7 inches forward. It was like, was I half an inch in my movement? Because that half an inch might be I didn't get charged. I could get to the objective. I could do a secondary. That's usually where I take the longest amount of time is at the end of my movement phase where I'm like, this all makes sense for next turn or what I'm about to do. And once that gets into like rep territory, we're like, I know exactly where things need to be. You get to like dump that from your mental load for the rest of the game.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that.
It's nice because you get into that with like deployments as well, where you're like, oh, I know this terrain layout, so I know what can go where and what is safe. And sometimes there's angles that you didn't see
Mm-hmm.
that are safe. Where you're like, oh, wait, I can actually fit a whole tank behind here, and there's nothing they can do about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I didn't even see that before. And that's another thing where you're like, because when I'm doing deployment with my army, I deploy like 7 things
I
right off
know.
the hop Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, I've deployed 7, you deploy 7, then it's actually going to start being interesting with the last like 3 to 4 drops. That's where we're going to duel for like, I might go over here if you put your anti-tank over there. If you put it here, then I'll swap sides and I have to wait for that. But yeah, there's so much that I'm just like, this goes behind the wall, this hides, this hides, this hides, this hides. And then all of those are just like pre-measured, like, well, this guy's here, so he can move his distance onto the objective, or to the corner for containment, or like to the center for area denial or something.
Mhm.
And it becomes a little bit like there's like a script. There's like a little beginning game plan.
I do feel a lot more comfortable with deployment now. I
It's
don't
a
think,
hard skill.
yeah, I don't think that my deployment was really bad going into this edition, but it's definitely taking less time, so that feels pretty good. But yeah, I think that I'm gonna vlog the event and then we'll come back and then we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for watching episode 1 of the Brest General. I'm really interested to hear about all of your experiences with the WTC team format, and if you haven't taken part in one, why don't you just let me know what looks interesting? Leave a comment down below because I read every single one. Episode 2 of the Breast General is going to be out shortly, so make sure to hit subscribe and the little bell icon, and it'll make sure that you get a notification when that goes live. If you'd like to support the channel, the Patreon link will also be down below in the description. That unlocks the most wholesome and loving Discord community for Warhammer that you've ever experienced in your life. We would love to have you there. Also, you can find some discount codes for Monument Hobbies, for Gear Guts Mech Shop, among other things as well. All of my socials are down there as well, so if you want to see my painting or all of the other things that I get up to during the week, then make sure to hit the link tree that's in the description down below. That's it, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I will be back soon with another episode.